This video is brought to you by Squarespace. Gamers, another week, another This Week in Video Games. My week has been unremarkable here in lockdown, except for a rather interesting email I received earlier this week.
Hi Ralph. Just following up on my last email, have you given any thought to joining OnlyFans?
Let me know in the comments below if this is the sort of shill-up content you'd like in the future. Maybe it's an opportunity for a new show. This Week in Feet Pics. And while you try and get that image out of your head, let's talk about some gaming news. Last week, both Sony and Microsoft crowed about selling a buttload of next-gen consoles, so this week Nintendo decided it would crow about outselling them both, with hardware barely more powerful than a Tamagotchi no less. This week, Nintendo HQ reported that the Switch has sold through 89 million units, meaning it has now sold more units than both the PS3 and the Xbox 360. This makes it the second highest-selling Nintendo TV-based console of all time behind the Wii, which sold through 101 million units. Man, it always is so depressing to see the Wii U figures. 13 million units? Jesus, man, that's just sad. The Switch still has a ways to go before it reaches the 154 million units sold through of the Nintendo DS, but given that the Switch is about to get its OLED model soon and probably more versions after that, the Switch certainly isn't slowing down anytime soon. Speaking of handhelds, this week we got a much clearer look at the Steam Deck, courtesy of a number of outlets who went hands-on with it. Not me, I see how it is gaming. Best coverage I saw was from good old Linus, whose enthusiasm for the device was plain to see as he got his mitts on it. I really recommend checking out his video. He talked about the ergonomics, performance, sound, and even temperatures, and all of it was super positive. Valve seemed to have cooked up a mid-tier PC that we could hold in our hands with an open software ecosystem at a reasonable price point. This thing is looking amazing, and I really hate that it's not coming to Australia. Damn you, Gaben. One interesting tidbit is that Valve have plans to make more Steam Decks. Right now we have 3 options based on hard drive size, but Valve deck designer Greg Kuma told PC Mag that we can expect more. Quote, "We are hopeful that this category becomes an actual category where there are multiple choices within it. We intend to continue making devices in this product line," end quote. This is exciting stuff because in addition to Valve making new versions of the Steam Deck, they're also encouraging other manufacturers to do the same. Ideally, this category will end up being full of options and competition, allowing us to get our hands on well-made, well-priced hardware, giving us access to our entire Steam library wherever we are. When the PS Vita died, I never guessed we'd see such a massive resurgence in the premium handheld category. I thought it would just be Nintendo and smartphones. It's great to see this category opening up once again. Alright, let's do the Activision Blizzard block now. You knew it was coming. Last week I said this story wasn't slowing down, and that was more true than I knew because in the time between when I finalized the video and when the video went live, Blizzard president and shampoo commercial aspirant J. Allen Brack resigned from his position to, quote, "pursue other opportunities," end quote. The news came as part of a blog posting from Blizzard titled "New Leadership at Blizzard" and announced that Brack would be succeeded by not one but 2 co-leaders, the former Xbox executive Mike Ibarra and former head of Vicarious Visions Jen O'Neill. Brack met an ignominious end with the statement announcing his departure, offering no thanks or well wishes, a clear sign that the company was looking to distance themselves from him as fast as possible. Unsurprising, as before news of Blizzard's toxic work culture were made public, the hallmarks of Brack's leadership tenure were the catastrophic mishandling of the Blitzchung affair and the disastrous launch of Warcraft 3 Reforged, the lowest rated Blizzard game in history. With little chance of holding high office in video games ever again, Brack will have to console himself with the millions of dollars he'll no doubt be receiving as a golden parachute. Poor guy, really got a feel for him. How can he afford that 3rd yacht now? Really sad. Brack wasn't the only head to roll. Jason Schreier of Bloomberg revealed that Blizzard's head of HR, Jesse Mashuk, is also no longer at the company. Unsurprising given how pivotal a role HR played in so many of Blizzard's workplace culture failures. One person desperately clinging to their job like a waterboarded prisoner desperately gasps for air is Activision Blizzard's head of compliance and torture apologist, Frances Townsend, who this week stepped down from her position as head of the Activision Blizzard Women's Network. Townsend had a busy week, tweeting about how whistleblowers are bad, and then blocking Activision Blizzard staff on Twitter, and then deleting her Twitter account altogether. I think it's hilarious that this person withstood years of condemnation from the international community for advocating the Bush administration's policy on torture, but buckled after like 3 days of tweets from gamers. More stories of abuse and workplace toxicity emerged this week from Bloomberg with an article titled "Blizzard Turned Game Developers into Rock Stars. Misbehavior Followed." The article is a worthwhile read, chronicling a number of never-before-heard anecdotes, including one where a senior executive suddenly left the company. At an all-hands meeting, someone asked, "Why did this person leave?" To which another senior Blizzard leader responded, "Don't sleep with your assistant, and if you do sleep with them, don't stop." Yikes. I don't need to explain how that is not an okay thing to say at the best of times, let alone during a company-wide meeting. The stakes keep getting higher and higher for Blizzard. This week, a number of Activision Blizzard staff formed a formal coalition, which is kind of like a union, except not, since I think Americans have this weird thing where they think unions are evil, but capitalist billionaires are actually their friends. And whoa, we just got really political there for a second. Anyway, in addition to employee pushback, shareholders are getting in on the action as well. A number of shareholders are suing Activision Blizzard since they should have disclosed news of California's investigation, but didn't. Shareholders are seeking damages for the loss in share value. Poor shareholders. They're the real victims in all this, can I say. Finally, one more group is sticking it to Blizzard, their sponsors. Companies such as Kellogg, Coca-Cola, State Farm, and T-Mobile have all pulled ads and sponsorship dollars out of the Overwatch League. These deals are typically worth millions of dollars and do a lot to prop up the business models for these esports tournaments, and since money is pretty much the only thing that companies care about, it's likely this move is going to get the attention of the fat cats in charge. So yeah, that's Activision Blizzard for the week. More updates next week, most likely. Here's a really crazy story. Recently, you might have heard that Titanfall has been in the grip of malicious hackers, with both Titanfall 1 and 2 suffering from DDoS attacks that have essentially crippled the game, and Respawn, despite promises to the contrary, have done very little about it. Well, shit got weird this week, and I'll make clear right now, these are all allegations, none of it's proven, but there's a lot of receipts out there, so the case is looking pretty strong. It turns out that at least 2 members of the Titanfall community who publicly were fighting the war against these hackers were themselves the hackers. User PO358 in particular posted publicly about how Titanfall was being hacked so that Respawn could fix those security issues, but now people are alleging that it was him and his buddies that were exploiting these flaws all along and are still doing that, or were up until recently. So why would they do this? Apparently, they wanted to bring Titanfall to its knees so that Respawn would turn to them to take over management of the game, giving the group of people access to the game's source files, servers, and the legal right to maintain it. This would ultimately culminate in the resurrection of Titanfall Online, a cancelled game that would have made Titanfall a sort of free-to-play live service. So in essence, if this is true, these pillars of the Titanfall community were running a false flag operation so they could sail in, solve the problems they created, take the game code, and get their own game up and running. Truly astounding. If this is true, I'm sure EA's lawyers are licking their chops right now. I expect we'll hear more about this story in the future. Speaking of EA, you might be surprised to learn that EA were surprised about the fact that we all still like Mass Effect. During an earnings call, EA CEO and handsome Jack before shot, Andrew Wilson, said, quote, "The launch of Mass Effect Legendary Edition, the remaster of the first 3 Mass Effect games, reignited the passion of fans around the world, driving sales performance well above our expectations," end quote. This is what always surprises me about video game executives. They get paid vast sums of money because they're apparently so good at business, and then they're like, "Whoa, people like Mass Effect? I had no idea. Give me another bonus." That's executives, fucking executives. Anyway, while EA are raking in those sweet Mass Effect credits, the Epic Games Store is spending money like it's going out of style. PC Gamer reported this week that Epic has sunk over $500 million into the Epic Games Store, with not a lot of upside to show for it. In 2019, the Epic Store lost $181 million. In 2020, it lost $273 million, and for 2021, the Epic Store is projected to lose $139 million. Epic does not expect the Epic Store to be profitable until 2027. 6 more years of hard losses ahead before the store starts to even break even. It's a good thing that Epic are making more money than God right now thanks to Fortnite and the Unreal Engine, otherwise they might be in some trouble. Long story short for us, I guess we can expect another decade's worth of free games each week. We got a brief but meaningless update on The Elder Scrolls 6 this week, with Phil Spencer confirming that it won't be releasing before the next Fable game, and everyone ran with that as a headline because The Elder Scrolls 6 is guaranteed clicks. I can't blame them. The South Park dudes, Trey Stone and Matt Parker, they just got given $900 million to keep doing their thing, God love them. On the cards is more TV, more movies, and more video games. Bloomberg reported this and wondered if Ubisoft would be working on them, but Schreier would later go on to tweet that the games were being worked on by an in-house studio, so Trey and Matt will be making their own games from now on. I don't know how I feel about that, since the Ubisoft ones are actually pretty good. I guess we'll find out later on. And finally, remember how that unopened copy of Mario sold for like $1 million the other week? Well, this week, another one sold for $2 million. $2 million for a copy of Mario. At this point, the retro market is making the NFT market look attractive, and there's literally nothing worse in the world than NFTs. Especially that Spider-Man one that Disney just released. Did you guys see that? God, it was bad. So, what got announced or delayed this week? Well, not a whole lot, to be honest. In fact, there was only one announcement, a weird standalone version of Ghost of Tsushima's multiplayer mode. Okay, so first of all, this game mode is awesome and I totally recommend it. I actually reviewed it, I'll leave a link below. So to this point, this game mode has been a free addition whenever you buy Ghost of Tsushima. This week, Sony announced that the game mode will still be free if you buy Ghost of Tsushima, but if you only want to play the multiplayer, you will soon be able to buy that on its own. Commencing September 3rd, you can pay $20 and that will give you access to the multiplayer mode. This is really weird because, like, who wants to play the multiplayer mode without also buying the single player? Plus, Ghost of Tsushima is regularly discounted at retail, so you'd probably be able to get it for like $20 anyway. This is kind of weird, right? Here's my suspicion. I think they're going to build this out to be its own live service. The multiplayer side of things has already received new content since launch, and it will be receiving a new game mode, new maps, and a loot refresh in September. You don't put all that work into something and also give it a separate SKU on a storefront unless you have big plans for it. So I'd say watch this space. I think Sucker Punch are going to do more with this. God, all this is so complex. I should have called this section Ghosts in the Tsushima Standalone Complex. Anyone? Okay, I'm really sorry about that one. Other than that, the only announcements were for betas. Battlefield 2042 is getting an open beta in September, so head over to EA's website to sign up for that one if you're keen. The other one is Riders Republic, the upcoming extreme sports thing from Ubisoft. Looks pretty fun. It's getting a beta this month, August 23rd. You can head over to their website to sign up for that one as well. There was some delay news this week. Jeff Bezos was too busy riding his space rocket when he should have been hard at work finishing his MMORPG, New World. Now we all have to pay the price for his laziness, as New World has been pushed to September 28th. Get your act together, Jeff. And I know you're all going to be bummed about this one, or at least this guy is. Blizzard have announced that Diablo Immortal has been delayed to 2022. So I've actually played this twice now on two separate alphas, and this game is super finished. Like, yeah, there's just no way this was not ready to ship sometime this year, so my suspicion is that Blizzard have delayed this to create some breathing room between all of the drama currently engulfing them and the release of a mobile game that no one wants. To be fair, the game is actually pretty good, and if the microtransactions don't utterly ruin it, it'll be alright. But it's a mobile game, so yeah, the microtransactions will utterly ruin it. So what came out last week? Not a whole lot either. Pretty slow week this week. The only new release of note was Death Trash, which arrived in early access. If you've been following this game, you'd be unsurprised to learn that it's currently sitting at 97% positive on Steam, a testament to just how weird and creepy and awesome this game is. The Steam reviews, they know how to tell it. Quote, "You can puke and eat raw meat. 10 out of 10. I love meat." And "The flesh provides." Okay, so all of these had big blue thumbs up next to them, so I guess they were compliments, I think. Death Trash is available now, exclusive to Steam. So what's coming out this week? Not a whole lot either. Jeez, we're on a roll here. First up is PvEVP Battle Royale Hybrid Naraka Blade Point, arriving on PC on the 12th. Now, unlike Hunter's Arena Legends, another martial arts-inspired Battle Royale game that was recently released on PS4 and PS5, this one actually has some hype behind it. The recent betas on Steam peaked at over 150,000 concurrent players, which is a gigantic number given that the recent Back 4 Blood beta peaked at around 100,000 people, and that has a lot of marketing dollars behind it. Feedback on the game has been generally positive, the trailers certainly look flashy, and it's only $20 on release, so that's a good deal, so long as it doesn't end up sucking. PC only for now, but I'm sure we can expect console ports in the future. Foreclosed arrives on every single platform on the 12th. Now, admittedly, I hadn't heard of this one until recently, but taking a look at some gameplay, it's definitely grabbed my attention. It's a third-person action-adventure game hybrid where, yes, you have to shoot stuff, but a big part of the game is simply walking around, talking to people while trying to unravel the mystery of your stolen identity. It's got a nice, overexposed, pastel-colored, cel-shaded art style, and it's using comic book paneling to literally frame its story beats. This one is looking a little janky, but if it can nail its story and its world building, then I'm always okay with a little bit of jank. Hades, you all know that one. We've all heard of Hades at this point. The Greek mythology-inspired roguelike that's gone on to become a pillar of both the indie dev scene and the roguelike genre. To this point, it's only been available on PC and Switch, which I was genuinely stunned by, given the footprint of this game on the industry. I could have sworn it was already on PlayStation and Xbox, but it wasn't. That really blows my mind. Anyway, that all changes on the 13th when Hades arrives for PS4, PS5, Xbox One, and Xbox Series consoles, and to make things even better, it's coming to Game Pass. If you haven't played Hades yet, then you are in for a treat. Holy shit. Personally, I still prefer Risk of Rain, but Hades is excellent nonetheless. Finally, Road 96 arrives on the 16th on PC. It's a procedural road trip game, which I think is a great concept. Every time you set out, you're in for a new story based on both your decisions and random events. So you'll pick up hitchhikers, and you'll stop at truck stops, and you'll make detours, and you'll just be out in the world, meeting people and doing things. And god damn it, we've been in lockdown for 2 months here in Sydney, so if this is the closest thing I can get to feeling like I'm alive, I'll take it. Speaking of the hellscape that is 2021, put this on your radar. This is Golf Club Wasteland. We've all played post-apocalyptic action games before. Well, how about a post-apocalyptic golfing game? And no, I'm not talking about The Last of Us 2, though this game does have a giraffe scene in it, so maybe it's Last of Us 1? Either way, this is a golf game where you putt-putt around the remains of a human city, since now apparently Earth's ruin is a golf course for rich people. Look, there's Covfefe in the background. Subtle. I actually have a thing for golf games that aren't actually golf games, like Lee Carvello's Putting Challenge, and the recent Golf Story, which is actually an amazing RPG that I totally recommend you check out if you haven't. Golf is less a sport and more a meditative activity that creates quiet in your mind, giving you the space to think deep thoughts. Also, it's really boring, so you gotta spice it up however you can. And golf immediately becomes more interesting when the hole you're aiming for is actually a toilet. Golf Club Wasteland arrives on all platforms on September 3rd. Sort of free stuff time, and unlike the rest of the segments this week, this one's pretty good. Epic kicks us off with this week's offering the excellent Plague's Tale Innocence and the Time Loop Zelda-esque Minute, both of which are available on the Epic Store right now. Come the 13th, these will disappear, replaced by Rebel Galaxy, a space exploration, trading, and combat game released back in 2015 to solid reviews. The Escapist has a nice box quote for it, quote, "Rebel Galaxy is what happens when you combine the exploration and freeform nature of Sid Meier's Pirates with the broadside-oriented ship combat of Assassin's Creed Black Flag and the cowboys in space setting of Firefly and Cowboy Bebop." End quote. I'd play that. Twitch Prime has a whole bunch of free stuff available this week, including Battlefield 5 and the newly added Indiana Jones and the Fate of Atlantis. Okay, yes, this was released back in 1992, well before most of you were born, but the old indie movies hold up, so maybe this does too. I don't know, I haven't played it in like 25 years. Wow, that really hurts to say out loud. Game Pass had pretty much its best month ever last month, and while this month isn't topping that, it's certainly giving it a run for its money. While we wait for the next Skate game, Xbox is giving us the chance to play the classics, with Skate coming to Xbox and Skate 3 coming to xCloud. Lumens, man, I remember playing that back on the PSP. Anyway, they remastered that, and that version is coming to cloud, console, and PC. Hades, we already mentioned, arrives for cloud, console, and PC. Curse of the Dead Gods, rough month for them to launch on Game Pass, to be honest, since they are absolutely going to get upstaged by Hades. Those games are very similar. And finally, and most importantly, Microsoft's Solitaire Collection arrives on Game Pass for PC. Finally, a reason to get your Nan a subscription to Game Pass. You're welcome, Nan. Whatever keeps you off the pokies. And finally, our feel-good story for the week is one that feels particularly pertinent given the recently released Nintendo Switch sales numbers, the soon-to-be-released Switch OLED, and the Game Boy Color. That's what I'm calling the Steam Deck from now on, by the way. I read it on Twitter somewhere. Handheld modder Ginger of Oz makes custom handheld hardware, shrinking the Nintendo Wii down to something that looks like a Game Boy. I'm serious, look at this thing. It's amazing. How could you not want this product? This week, Ginger revealed his most ambitious project to date, a portable PS2, and to be clear, this is not an emulated PS2 or whatever, this is an actual PS2 Slim that he chopped up, he added a whole bunch of other shit, crammed it into a custom case, and boomtown. Portable Final Fantasy X in the beautiful 3x4 low resolution we all remember. Ginger says you can expect about 2.5 hours of battery life, which already makes it better than the Steam Deck, and you can play old games without having to spend $60 a pop, which already makes it better than the Switch. Ginger says you can buy the PS2 handheld for $1 million, which sounds like a joke until you remember that someone paid $2 million for a copy of Mario this week, so it's kind of a bargain. And that, ladies and gentlemen, was the week in video games. August is a quiet month, so I'm going to be chilling out for a little bit, catching up on some backlog, leveling some alt jobs in Final Fantasy XIV, getting ready for the big slew of releases that kicks in from the next month onwards, really. Let me know what you're playing this month to help pass the time. What are you looking forward to? What's on your radar? I always enjoy hearing about that stuff. If you enjoyed yourself, you can do your boy a solid by liking the video, subscribing, and dinging the notification bell. A big thank you for tuning in this week, and a big thank you to Squarespace for sponsoring the video. This video is brought to you by Squarespace. Now, they are the single best place to go to if you want to build your own custom website. Building websites used to be really hard with lots of tricky tools. You need to hire people and administrators and whatever else and thousands of dollars. Not anymore. Now with Squarespace, you just create an account, you can log in, begin customizing one of their dozens of award-winning templates, and within minutes you have a professional-looking website. They also have more advanced tools like SEO optimization, increasing your chances of being found online. They have things like calendars so you can schedule events. Heaps of stuff that just make it very easy to build your business or your community or just share your interests with the world. To get started, visit squarespace.com, and when you're ready to get serious, visit squarespace.com/skillup for a 10% discount on your first purchase of a website or a domain name. Thanks Squarespace for sponsoring this video, and thank you for watching it. Thanks for watching my video. If you liked it, give it a thumbs up. If you didn't, give it a thumbs down so I know to do better for next time. If you enjoyed yourself, consider subscribing, and if you really enjoyed yourself, maybe consider hitting that notification bell so you never miss a video. You can see my patrons here on the left. They're awesome. They're amazing. If you want to join them, check out my Patreon page. Thank you again. I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.